Hello and welcome to the program. In a stunning victory for Nigeria's counter-terrorism efforts, the federal government has confirmed the capture of two of the most dangerous and elusive terrorist figures in the country, the leaders of the Al-Qaeda-linked Ansaru group. The dramatic announcement came from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, who revealed that the arrest followed months of high-risk intelligence-led operations conducted between May and July 2025. The mission, described by officials as one of the most significant since the rise of insurgency in Nigeria, struck at the very heart of Ansaru's command structure. Among those seized is Mahmoud Mohammed Usman, known by multiple, also known, let me say now, as Abu Bara, the self-declared emir of Ansaru. Described as the mastermind behind a sprawling network of sleeper cells, Usman is believed to have orchestrated numerous high-profile kidnappings and armed robberies, funneling the proceeds directly into extremist violence. Alongside him, security forces apprehended Mahmoud Al-Nigeria, infamously known as Mala Mahmouda, the group's second-in-command and the ruthless leader of the feared Mahmoudawa cell. Trained by foreign jihadists in Libya, Mahmouda is a known expert in weapons systems and improvised explosive devices with a deadly track record in both. These two men, long fixtures on Nigeria's most wanted list, are implicated in some of the country's darkest terrorist episodes, including the audacious 2022 Kuje prison break, a brazen attack on Niger Republic's uranium facility, the 2013 kidnapping of French engineer Francis Colomb, the 2019 abduction of Alhaji Musa Umar Uba, popularly called Magajin Garin Daura, and the chilling seizure of the emir of Wawa. Ribadu went on to credit President Bola Tinubu for providing the strategic vision that made the operation possible and lauding the unwavering coordination between Nigeria's armed forces, intelligence units, and other security agencies. Well, I'm joined by a Chief Security and Governance Strategist, Mr. David Okoro, to discuss this further. It's a pleasure having you on the program, sir. Now, let me begin by asking, how significant is the arrest of these Ansaru terrorist group leaders now in Nigeria's broader fight against terrorism?
I think that was a landmark achievement by the security forces in Nigeria. When such magnitude of arrest is made anywhere in the world, there's a lot of noise. So I was saying to somebody this morning, if it was the United States security forces or the Western world that this happened, there will have been a lot of noise about it. But what was achieved by the Nigeria security forces was very huge. Recall that Ansaru have become a major security threat. It was a major force in the West Africa sub-region. With their alliance with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they were very, very, very powerful and strategic. And these leaders were also very much, the two leaders that were arrested, were also very, very much feared leaders, and they were very well connected and strategic. The fact that they were arrested, the manner they were arrested without shedding of blood, and all that spoke to the master approach. It was a master stroke. Spoke to the approach of the Nigeria intelligence sector. They did very well.
Now, this arrest of the Ansaru group leaders happened shortly after the reported arrest of Abubakar Abba, that's the leader of the Mahmouda group now. Do you think that this captures, let me say now, putting all of them together, will have any impact on the terror groups and their operations within Nigeria and even beyond?
Yes, it will, even if it's going to be momentary, because you know that these terrorist groups, they have a very well-structured leadership arrangement. And two, because of their international affiliation, it is easy to move men around. So, yeah, we celebrate that they have been arrested. The leader and his assistant were arrested, but it also means that we need now to sustain this momentum by ensuring that every other person that holds leadership position. By the way, our ability to degrade an organization also depends on your ability to deal with the leadership. But like I said, the problem with this is that you've taken out these two people. You can be sure that in a very short time that other set of people will rise to lead this organization. So, but what we then need to do is that we need to be We need to sustain the tempo, not to say, oh, we have captured these two guys or these two key leaders and then we relax. No, this is the time to take further steps to bring in or to identify other leaders and quickly bring them in quick succession, put pressure on them using this link of those that you have arrested and the vital information or intelligence that will be gathered through them to now go after those other people that have the capacity to quickly take over the leadership of the organization. That's the first part. The second part is to say now that the leaders have been, this Mahmouda and co have been arrested, and what you then do is to go after the foot soldiers. Now you have arrested their leaders. There's some instability among them. The next step would be to say, okay, let's go after the members. Let's go after their infrastructure. Let's go after their financial sources. Let's go after their support base. Let's try to cut through their supply, their logistics. Let's try to cut through their recruitment capabilities. Let's try to cut through the equipment which they get, a flow of what sustained them, what has sustained them till now. We then need to go after them and ensure that they do not have the capacity or the freedom to enjoy or continue to have those kind of support and those kind of backing for them to continue with their action. So the first part is, yes, you have arrested two of the leaders, but there are many more down the ladder. But is to now go after these other ones and disrupt them and bring in more of them that we can do. But it's commendable what has happened. And like I said, it's just for us to ensure that we take additional steps to not to put more pressure, not to give gap or to think that now we have achieved this, therefore we are resting. Because they are not resting, they're going to raise leadership quickly for these groups.
Well, I'm glad that you echo the sentiment of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, that the fight is not over. You know, he mentioned this while announcing the arrest of the Ansaru leaders. Now, building from this successful capture, what else do you expect security agencies in Nigeria to do in terms of neutralizing other terrorist leaders? For instance, Bello Turji, who is still causing a lot of problems in Nigeria's northern region.
I think it's a shame that we are talking about people like Turji. Turji is a bandit. If you know what bandit means, bandits are rural armed criminals. That's what bandits are. They are not a military force. They are not trained. Their weaponry is also very basic. Now, for you to say that a country as big as Nigeria has been unable to bring in people like Turji, shut them down, arrest them, you know, it's not something that we should even say to the people of the world. No? We shouldn't allow the developed world or the other civilized world to hear that there is a certain bandit, a criminal that is somewhere, and that the whole Nigeria military and security forces are not able to get around it, that, such that we are talking today, or some people are even suggesting that we need to negotiate with this bandit leader. We need to negotiate with him in order to have peace, in order for farmers to be able to go in the northwest, in order for farmers to be able to go to farms, or for people to have their normal life, because Turji and such other bandit leaders as himself are in control of those areas, and therefore people have to pay ransom to be able to go to farm. You have to pay protection money. People are arrested randomly, are killed in large numbers. It's actually a thing of shame that we can't be saying we are an organized nation with a military and with a security structure, that we are not able to quickly deal with people like Turji. So that is a big problem. But like I said, yes, we celebrate the arrest of the Ansaru leaders, but the fact that we still have people like Turji who are occupying portions of Nigeria, by the way, they occupy portions of Nigeria where today there is no law and order. Where they occupy, there's no law and order. There is no government presence. There's no government activities are not going on normal. It shouldn't happen. So I would advise that, and this has been on for a while, by the way. These guys have capacity to bring down aircrafts. They did it on 2 occasions. They have been responsible for killing security forces, military men and women, police, and others. They are responsible for arresting, for kidnapping large number of people in villages and rural communities. And they are involved in doing so many things. You've heard about the killings in the mosque in Malumfashi, Katsina, where Now about 50 people are reported to have been killed in one morning. And the people came in and said they did that because of retaliation, that previously when they came, that the local vigilantes tried to shoot at them, and they came back now as a retaliation. You can't talk about that in a country at this time, I mean, a modern nation, that you have ragtag group of people who can do as they like, up to the point saying they are killing people in large numbers in retaliation because of some locals try to protect themselves. In the process, they were able to scare off the attackers, and the next day the attackers came in large numbers and they came to kill people. You don't, in a modern society, you don't allow things like that to happen.
Let's talk about coordination now. According to the NSA, this arrest was made possible thanks to effective coordination and synergy between the DSS, Nigerian security agencies, and the army. The question now is, how good is this level of interagency coordination? And is it something we should expect to see going forward?
Well, this is what, in the modern nation, I keep talking about the modern nation and the modern securities structure, security arrangement, coordination is primary because every unit of the security system play their roles. The intelligence community have their role to play, the military have their role to play, the police have their role to play, everybody have a role to play. So naturally, it is expected that everybody that is in the loop or that is in the ecosystem must work together. That's why we talk about interagency collaboration. So every agency is supposed to be on the table, and everybody's role is properly laid out. That's why we have what they call the standard operating procedure that guide the collaboration. But the collaboration is absolutely necessary in order for there to be success in the military or security operations. Coordination is primary, and it should be encouraged. In any case, the coordination is actually, like I say, it's a key part of the operations of these agencies, because you hear of interagency collaboration, and where it fails, usually you have failure in the system. But when they work together, they bring to bear their various energies and their various resources, and usually it is very successful. We used to have issues where they don't work together. In the previous regimes, even the middle past regime, or particularly, yes, Buhari regime, you had a situation where the agencies were not working together, and it told very badly on our security sector, and we lost so many of the battles. But now that there's a new regime, and it was decided that by all means, all the agencies should work together, that is the result you are seeing. Everybody is coming on board. But to achieve this kind of feat, you do need several things. You didn't need to increase the level of training together in such a way that all the forces, they train together, they do practice together, they do all sorts of things together, including training. Like I said, they train together, and also when they go to simulations and all that, they do them together. And so during that period, you sharpen this kind of collaboration, you sharpen the capacities, you see the gap that is available, and you try to fill it even before you go into actual operations. So it is good that they work together. It is the way to go. And you see what the Air Force is doing. One of the most effective arm, the punching arm in the sector, is the Air Force in the war against banditry. The Air Force is what is the most feared force among the bandits. They fear the Air Force because the Air Force comes from the sky, and is able to see the movement of the bandits, and it has no problem at all in taking them out. So the Air Force, working with the ground force, working with the security intelligence community, is always a very good approach to dealing with security crisis, particularly violent crisis like the one that we are facing. Just that we do need to do more because of the level of degradation we have suffered, because of the extent to which criminality has gone. We do need to do more, because the security crisis we have in Nigeria, particularly in the northern part of the country, is profound. the killings in Benue State, the killings in Plateau State, the banditry in Zamfara State, the banditry in Sokoto State, in Katsina, and now there's a reduction in Kaduna State. We then have a spillover in Kwara State, which nobody is talking about, because we expect that will happen, that there was going to be a spillover in Kwara State, there was going to be a spillover in Kogi. In fact, there are a lot of sleeper cells in Kogi, a lot of sleeper cells. It was from Kogi that the attack was planned and carried out. So we have a lot to do, particularly in ensuring that these criminals are not capable of moving from one location to the other or spreading their cells. You know what I mean by cells? What we call sleeper cells, that they are not able to further establish more sleeper cells, which then enable them, is more or less like forward operation base for them. With the sleeper cells, they're able to come in, survey the environment, get proper logistics, get training, get more contact, and then they can now come into attack. We must deny them the capability or the ability to be able to set up this kind of sleeper cells. But working together certainly is the way to go. And I think that the security sector, they are doing fairly well in that sector. But just to say that the problem we are facing is enormous, and we do need extraordinary steps at this time, more resources. And I've also spoken about the police, that we need to have more confidence in the police, because primarily the Nigerian police force is the official body that is responsible for internal security of the country. And so we must have confidence in them that they can do the job for which they have been set up. And they indeed can, if they are given if we have confidence in them, if they are given the right resources, that they require, the right attention, they can do it. Look, the police is not just the people you see in the police station. There are other specialized arm of the police force, tactical squad that can stand to any criminality or meet or stand to any international standard. But just that we need to give them the space to operate. Now the military seems to be everywhere, but we do need to also give the police enough resources to work, manpower, equipment, like I say, confidence, and the space to work. And you will be surprised what they can come up with.
Mr. Okoro, go with us on this short break. We'll continue this conversation when the program returns. Stay with us. We'll return shortly. Welcome back. We're still discussing this breakthrough recorded by Nigeria's security agencies with the capture of top leaders of the Al-Qaeda-linked Ansaru group. Chief Security and Governance Strategist Mr. David Okoro is still my guest on the program. Mr. Okoro, now that these two leaders have been arrested, we understand that the sophisticated weapons and other equipment seized during the operation have been undergoing forensic analysis, which is expected to reveal more about Ansaru's networks in Nigeria and across the wider Sahel region. Now, what feedback do you expect after this analysis?
Well, like I said, the arrest of these leaders are very significant. But what we then need to do now is you are arrested, you need to debrief them. Debriefing them, if they collaborate, if they cooperate, will lead to harvest of massive intelligence assets, in which case we'll be able to know their supply network, those who are behind them, their funding, their strategy, their kind of armament, the kind of manpower they have, how many people, for instance, is under Ansaru, and who are those people that they are working with. So we'll be able to harvest so much. So it's very good that they have been arrested. But like I said, yes, they have been arrested, and the idea is to treat them well, to start with, treat them well, make them comfortable, and then see how much information can be harvested from them, and how quickly that intelligence can be put to use. I think that's where we need to. That's what we need to look at. But like I say, it's a good development. But what we now do with having them in possession by government is very critical. But I do know that the agencies that that have them, that work so hard to arrest them, certainly know what to do in getting more information from them, and that information will now serve as a follow-up to the next level of operations that are expected to be carried out. So in the months ahead, in the week and months ahead, we expect that more arrests will be made. I will expect that we have developed capacity to degrade them more, and to degrade their supply network and all that disrupt their recruitment process, disrupt their supply and logistic, disrupt their the financing of their operations, which I think that will be very helpful, particularly in dealing with terrorism. That in some places there seems to be a synergy or a mix of terrorism and banditry, but the arrest really is significant, and those who have arrested them know exactly what they need to do with them at this time.
Finally, now let me get your thoughts on this concern raised by the Minister of Information, that's Mohammed Idris. He urged the media to desist from reporting the activities of these terrorists, that's the killings and kidnappings. And of course, you know, what should I call it now, their earnings from their kidnappings. And the minister says the media should rather highlight the sacrifices of security forces. Do you agree that reporting the activities of these terrorists emboldens them to cause more harm? Because the general impression is that exposing their atrocities, is supposed to or serves as vital information. But now the minister says that's not the case.
No, but you see, it has two parts to it. On one part, yes, the citizens need to understand what is happening. And bandits and terrorists all over the world are very effective or good managers of information. They want to create fear. See, the purpose of banditry or terrorism is to create maximum fear in the heart of the people, to say your government is not doing enough, blah, blah, blah. And so when reports are made that tend to celebrate the success of the bandits and the criminals, it creates fear in the heart of the people. It lowers in the heart of the people that their government does not have ability to protect them. That's what it shows, that your government cannot protect you, therefore don't continue to support them. But at the same time, citizens need to have information. So what is required is that there's supposed to be a synergy between the military and security forces and the media. There's supposed to be a synergy. They are supposed to work together. The media have a constitutional responsibility to create awareness and to inform the people. So, and the military and the security agencies have the responsibility to ensure security and safety of the people. So they are supposed to work together, because both groups are working for this comfort and welfare of the citizens. So there need to be more collaboration. The military and security services should be able to provide information timeously to the media, and take the media also into confidence when information are going to be shared. But we must watch it, because most of the information that comes from our media, whether the formal or the informal media, usually is not very good for Nigeria. When terrorists put out, most of the time, overblown and fake news, and the media laughs on it and passes on to the general public, it's a disservice to the country. In fact, even taking briefs and taking press releases from terrorist groups and then publishing it is a disservice to the nation. It's a disservice to the security and safety of the nation. So what the military or what government want is a blackout of the activities of the terrorist groups, because again, two things gives oxygen to terrorist groups is information and finance. So if you take away the information from them and you take away their source of finance, you will have done a significant level of damage. So I think that the security service leadership, therefore, will need to work closer in confidence with the leaders of the media houses and media outlets in Nigeria, to see how the editors and those who ensure that news and report comes out are better able to manage this information, so that we have a balance between what government wants us to hear and what is security wants us to hear, and what the media itself want to publish. Because at the end of the day, the media must have a balanced way of putting out information to the public. What is available, they cannot black out completely, but significantly they should degrade the kind of information or balance the kind of information they put out to the public on the activities of particularly terrorists. Like I said, terrorists will give you information that are fake news many times. They give you bloated information. They give you fake news. And if you latch on it and you publish it, then you bolster their operations, because this war is fought on the kinetic and the information lane. And so if you lose, even if you are winning on the kinetic side and you are losing on the information propaganda, then you are not winning. And that's where we find ourselves today. Our security agencies are not able to keep up with the sophistry and sophistication of the kind of media strategies of criminal elements like Boko Haram and their allies.
And finally, before I let you go, I should ask you, how can local communities be better equipped to resist extremist infiltration and assist in intelligence gathering? Because what we understand is that these bandits gradually penetrate communities, especially in order to acquire secret information before carrying out attacks. Now, as an expert, how can these local communities be better equipped to mitigate attacks in the future?
Well, yes, nature abhors vacuum. So when adequacy of government is not available in an environment, others who are interested to take control of the minds of the people will step in. So you have a situation where government is absent in most of these communities, particularly the rural communities in the Northeast and the Northwest, where government is not available. There's no employment, there's no government presence, there are no schools, there are no health services. Government is, in fact, not really available. And so what you find is the criminals who provide these services. They employ people and pay them. They give motorbike, and other benefits to the rurals. They are able to pay people to provide information. So you are hearing of now we have a business, if you like, or we now have a group of people who are called informants, bandit informants, terrorist informants. They are paid by the bandits. They are paid by the terrorists to provide information on the movement of troops and on the movement of security, on people who are wealthy that can be kidnapped. And all sorts of vital information is provided by this informant. They are called bandit informant or terrorist informant. They do their job because they are paid. They get value for providing those information. So they provide information and they get benefits. So government need to then counter this by providing employment, that government presence will be there. There are government services, social services, employment, even the security itself, because in a situation where there is even no police, there is no security, and you now say you are going to not to provide this information to the bandits, you'll be undoing yourself. So what we do need is that government need to be more active or more present in those communities in the Northwest, in the North Central, and in the Northeast. We do need this business, this market of bandit informant and terrorist informant is a big thing. So until government come up on its own to ensure that they make a presence in those communities, take care of the need of the people, that's the first thing to do. Because if you don't take need, then the people will serve those whom they see. And they are seeing the bandit leaders who are willing to distribute from their kidnapping, ransom, and from other sources of funding. They have a lot of money to pay young people. Teachers are involved in the as informants. Civil servants are involved as informants. Others, market women, all sorts of people are in this business of informant because they are paid. And in fact, I did say that when we talk about informants, government need to now have what we call counter informants. These terrorists have informants. You to also get people that will give you information on who are the informants themselves in the community, and give you information on what the bandits are doing in that environment. That's the first part. The second part is for government to work with the community to build what we call security resilience. Security is, I can say that we describe this kind of situation, community security, as a concentric circle. The first set of people that should actually be responsible for security is the community. The tertiary community. The tertiary aspect of this is, okay, you escalate to the police and maybe the military, but the first should be the people. So the government need to invest in developing security resilience in communities so that the communities can know what to do. When they are attacked and there's no security forces around, the community should know how to protect themselves, what to do. Number one, to prevent attack, and when attacks do happen, to respond. That's the first line of response. It is when after the first line of response that you now get the official security, armed security to come in.
Well, Mr. David Okoro, it's been good getting your thoughts on the program. Thank you very much for talking to us. And that's all on this episode. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.